Have you ever seen one of these devices? They're stirring tools for stirring up all natural peanut butter where the oil is all separated out on the top. I was on the fence for the longest time about whether to get one of these for myself. I didn't want to waste my money if it was going to be a total piece of junk, but I finally ponied up the cash, tried it out, and in this video I wanted to share with you, whether this is worth getting or not. Hey everybody, this is Praxis. If you use all natural peanut butter, you know that when you buy this stuff, it has a bit of oil up on the top. And if you buy this stuff and then put it in your pantry and store it for a while, you know that this situation with the oil on the top gets even more intense over time. So when you open one of these up, you have to go and stir the peanut butter around. And if you're anything like me, you find that it's kind of a pain in the butt. Like when you get to the end of some jar of peanut butter, you're like, maybe I can use that to finish up whatever I'm doing, because it's just such a pain to have to stir up a new jar of peanut butter. In this video, what I want to do is review these devices that you put in from the top to kind of stir them around. I've seen these forever, and I was always kind of reluctant to get one of them because I forget what they are online, but it was more than I was willing to spend if it was just going to be like a piece of junk and not do anything. But I found one at a local store. I only had to pay $6 for it, because there's no shipping or anything. I tried it out and I want to share with you, how well I think it works. And it's not a simple thing of like, oh, it's great or it's total trash. It's kind of, I'm going to demo it for you and you kind of see what the pros and the cons are. If you don't have one of these, you don't really need it. You can just use a butter knife, and that's what I always used to do. I'd open up the peanut butter and I'd take the butter knife and I'd stab it in a bunch of places, stab it in and turn it, stab it in and turn it to kind of get the oil down into the sediment down there. I'd let it sit for a while, and then later on I'd kind of swirl it around. And you can do that, and you probably already have a butter knife or something like it in your house, and that's completely free. But if this thing works properly, the promise was that it was going to be nicer than the butter knife. And here's the answer to whether this is nicer than a butter knife. Yeah, I think it kind of is. But it's not a simple thing where you just put it in and you just stir it around. It's not that kind of like easy, dreamy kind of thing. There's a little bit of you still have to put work into it, but it is easier than the butter knife, and I'm going to show you, how it works here. But first off, I wanted to show you how this is put together, what the different pieces of this are, so if you're not getting this exact one, you can kind of, compare apples to apples. It's got this stirring device. It has a lid with a little hole in the top. There's a rubber gasket, and then there's a plastic retainer that holds the rubber gasket in place. The way this thing assembles is you put the rubber gasket on the inside of the lid. You take the stirring arm, push it through the hole in the rubber gasket, and then you just take the plastic retainer and run it down, and that kind of seals it on there. I'm not sure if it's completely a retainer or maybe it just sort of keeps oil from getting up in there, but that was part of the packaging, and it seems to serve whatever function it's supposed to be serving. So the next thing that you do, I think normally most people would think you just kind of push it in and then you turn it, spin it around, but what I find works a little bit better is if you take this thing, and the way that I mentioned, you take the butter knife and you kind of stab it and twist it around a little bit. I feel like if you do a little bit of that with this, it helps to make it easier to spin afterwards. So I take this thing and I just kind of push it down in there, and another one, and I'm just rotating this, and I'm just making holes all over the place, just kind of trying to break up that mass of sediment at the bottom. You can really understand why people are attracted to the peanut butters that you don't have to stir up, that don't have all the sediment, where they have those kind of homogenizers in there. I feel like the health ramifications of the homogenizers and all the additives that get added in are, I don't want to get like sued for libel, but for myself, I would rather just have pure peanut butter because, then you're not messing with all the extra ingredients. So I've got that in there. I'm kind of pulling it around a little bit. I'm, using it as a claw to, kind of break these pieces up. And now it's got kind of like a lot of sort of chunky lumps in there. And at this point, now what I am going to do is push it down and screw it down like that. Okay, and what I like about this device is that, with the gasket there, you can stir it around like this, And you know, initially there's like a little bit of force you got to put into it, but then it gets pretty easy. But you can also put it on its side, make sure it's tight down, and you can do it like that. And I got to be honest, this is nicer than doing it with the, what do you call this? With the butter knife. The reason that it's nicer is because when you're kind of mixing and stirring with the butter knife, there was a tendency, at least for myself, to, you know, with the oil, to accidentally kind of like splash the oil up. So you'd have to be really kind of careful about it. And as you mix things up, you know, they were all kind of falling out of the container. This is nice because I don't have to think about any of that. As soon as I finished up with that initial kind of stabbing, at this point, it's like, you know, I could sit down, I could watch a movie or something like that, or I could do anything that doesn't require the use of my hands and you know, barely requires me to you know, use my brain for it. But at this point, I'm really kind of homogenizing the thing up, and it's a lot nicer of an experience. So I would recommend getting one of these, even at the higher prices that you pay online because you got to pay for shipping. I would definitely recommend getting one of these because it does work. It's not the kind of thing, like I said, where you just unscrew the top and put that in and screw it, you know, spin it around, and then, you know, like 8.5 seconds later, it's all done. But it does, there's a procedure for this but it does work, and it's nice that you don't have to be so careful about it. When you're done, what you do is you take this and you pull it right out, and the gasket kind of cleans the arm as you pull it out, like that. There'll just be a little bit of peanut butter just on the tip of it right there, and you could lick that off, but I may end up putting it back in there, so I don't want to lick it off right now. It's nice and homogenized, and it is, you know, it's ready to be spread on things. So yes, I would recommend getting one of these things because while it's not instantaneous, it does do the job that you're looking for, and I love the fact that I can do most of the stirring without having to be so careful about spilling the peanut butter. I hope I found this video helpful. I also hope you found it overly long and overly informative. Make sure you leave comments down below about how I could have just said all this in 18 seconds, or probably 8 seconds, probably 2 seconds. I could have just said, product good. You know, it could have been as simple as that, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit more information than that. That's it, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe for new videos all the time, and if you'd like to support this channel, you can do so either through Patreon or PayPal.